You see like wages since like 1970s adjusted for inflation, barely grown. And then you'll see like median housing prices, and it's gone up significant amounts of percent, double digit percents. And large part of that is due to the exorbitant increase in housing prices, particularly in these major metro areas. That same chart, they did one of LA, and it was like 400% increase in median home price in LA since the 70s, adjusted for inflation, whereas the median wage growth kind of stagnated. And so the troubling is one of the biggest issues that we face today in society. And it's happening at a time when TVs are way cheaper, right? You can buy a laptop for a fraction of the price it used to cost 20 years ago. So much of our lives are deflationary, and housing exorbitantly increased relative to, say, my parents' generation, right?
So if you look at San Francisco or Boston, which are both off the charts in terms of the kind of increases you've been talking about, you've got restrictive zoning that is a noose around new construction. And so it's been great for, you talked about your parents' generation. I guess I am your parents' generation, and we baby boomers have sat on our gains, restricted
Right.
supply by being not in my backyard types, watched our home values going up, cashed out our home equity, and we're fat and happy. So I don't know if we want to call that generational theft along with so much else, but it's not unrelated to that. And we are seeing places where supply is permitted. Uh, Texas is a great example where prices are lower and people are migrating because housing prices are up everywhere, but they're not as up everywhere.
Zoning obviously is a major component of this. What is a good zoning policy? Who's doing it right, for example? Which places?
Yeah. Well, we used to do it right. That's a big theme of my book, Poor Side of Town. We actually had the winning formula in this country, and it was to permit what I call a ladder of housing types. So when I bought a house, it was hard for me to buy a house, but I bought a two-family house and I rented out the other side.
Mhm.
Absolutely crucial for my family. That used to be a normal thing to do. But if you look at the post-war suburbs, San Jose is a great example. The Valley in LA, it's a sea of single family houses on relatively large lots, right? So we eliminated two families, we eliminated three families, we eliminated attached houses. All of those are key to affordability, and we need zoning codes that permit them again. This is our big problem in this country. We've got to figure out a way to get communities to accept more housing. It's one thing for me to say, you guys are so awful. You're not letting more housing be built, and Ashton and his buddies are getting locked out. That just hasn't cut it with people. We've got
Mhm.
to convince them that actually this is not going to ruin your neighborhood. Over time, it'll bring in newcomers that might buy your houses eventually. It's in your interest. And this is a struggle that's going to have to be waged community by community by community, planning board by planning board.